Fine, thank you, ma'am. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Again, he's the founding member of Steely Dan and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of the Doobie Brothers. Jeff Skunk Baxter, can you let my listeners know a little bit about your works and why you're so fascinated?
Well, I'm afraid I won't do very well in the last part of that question. That was probably something more objective than I can be. But the first part of the question, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, play guitar, play a number of instruments, produce records, write songs, and do a lot of session work. And generally, the latest thing is a solo album, which I never thought I'd do, but ended up doing it.
All right. And you know, you're being modest here because you have a lot of my listeners here who are huge fans of Steely Dan, of course. How did you become that founding member of Steely Dan? Tell us a little bit more about the background.
Well, let's see. Back, I guess this was back in '69. I was living in Boston, working at a studio called Intermediate Sound. And a gentleman named Gary Katz was producing a Boston band called the Beat Game.
Mm-hmm.
And in the studio next door. And Gary had come into the studio. I'm not trying to remember who I was working with. It might have been Jonathan Edwards or Paul Pina or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he stuck his head in and was listening to me play. And after the session, he said, listen, I'm doing a record in New York with a woman named Linda Hoover.
Yes.
And I have two songwriters that are writing for it, Walter Becker and Donald Fagen. And I was wondering if you would come down and work on the record. And I was commuting back and forth from Boston to New York to do sessions. And so I went down there, did the project, and after we finished, Walter Becker and Donald Fagen said, we've never really heard anybody play guitar like that. And I said, well, I've never heard of this incredible quality of songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressed. So we sort of decided, informally but formally, if we ever had the opportunity to work together, whoever found an opportunity first would call the other guy.
Yes.
So Becker and Fagen went out to Los Angeles with Gary and secured a publishing deal with ABC Dunhill Records. And we thought that would be a good starting place. So I came up, and they needed a drummer, so I recommended the drummer from the Beat Game,
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Hart. And so he came out, and a number of us got together and formed what eventually became Steely Dan.
Wow, look at that. Well, you know, Jeff Skunk Baxter, I am located here in Nashville, Tennessee, and you have some things coming up, some events coming up here in Nashville, Tennessee very soon. Let's start out with you talking to my listeners about this upcoming shoot for the PBS show Live at the Analog.
Yeah, I believe that's on June 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And going to have a couple of my friends come and show up and play as well from Nashville.
Yes.
And we're just going to perform, a number of things. We'll do things off my solo album, and we'll also do a couple of other tunes that everybody's familiar with. And of course, we do them in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people will enjoy it. We've been very successful, knock on wood, with the shows that we've done around the United States. We went to Japan. Everybody was very happy.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think it'll be a fun evening.
I know it will. I know it will, Jeff. You also have an event coming up at the Franklin Center for the Arts on June 13th, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Can't stay away from Nashville.
Absolutely. We're the it city.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And I'm looking forward to it. Now, let's talk a little bit about the success of your instrumental version of the Steely Dan hit, Do It Again. I know that's a fabulous one.
Yeah, I figured in the same sort of vein as I did my old school, really the songs are great, and I thought it would be best instead of just repeating them, would look at having some fun with the arrangement.
Yes.
And Do It Again, of course, we just turned that upside down and inside out,
Yeah.
and took the song and reinterpreted it in a very different as an instrumental also. And that was a lot of fun because once you tell yourself you're not going to give yourself any boundaries, just going to go at it and see how it goes. That's where it gets good.
Wow. Now, as I mentioned earlier, listeners, Jeff Skunk Baxter is also Hall of Fame member of the Doobie Brothers. Tell us a little bit more about that, the background of that, Jeff.
Let's see. Well, Steely Dan was opening for the Doobie Brothers on a number of tours. And as we started out, and as I was in Steely Dan, the folks in the Doobies asked me to sit in to play guitar. And first it was 1 or 2 songs, and then it was 5 songs, and then it was 10 songs, and then it was half the show. And after a while, I was touring with both bands. And we were in England at the Network Festival I was with the Doobies, and I had spoken with Walter and Donald, and they decided that they didn't want to tour anymore. And I thought, well, I really enjoy touring.
Yeah.
Half the fun. So I hung up the phone and I said to the guys in the band and the Doobies, I said, that's kind of it for me in Steely Dan, because they didn't want to tour. And they said, well, now you're in the Doobie Brothers.
Wow.
Okay.
And the rest is history, as they say, huh, Jeff?
I guess so. I guess so.
Well, I see you out there, Jeff, on social media, particularly Facebook, so expect me to share a whole bunch of your posts that you put out there. I'm a huge fan of Steely Dan and the Black Cow. I love that one. Love it.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
That was one of our original demos, actually. And then it went back and I guess they reprised that. That was a great song.
Yes, and of course, you know I'm going to play it after our interview, of course, because I'm loving it. And now, as I mentioned earlier, listeners, I'm speaking with Jeff Skunk Baxter, again, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member of the Doobie Brothers and also founding member of Steely Dan. Jeff, how can my listeners follow you on social media and continue to stay in the know?
Well, I believe I do Instagram and my Facebook. And I don't do TikTok.
Okay.
I apologize for that, but because I also have a day job where I work for the U.S. government, they're the crown on.
Yeah. Yeah, understood.
Fair enough.
Understood.
But you can certainly, there's a number of different ways. And I'm finding more and more when I just put the name in to do a search, and it comes up with all kinds of cool stuff. So this should be hard. My Facebook, definitely we try to update. And we try to update Instagram as much as we can.
Well, I see you out there, and I know many of my listeners do as well. Jeff Skunk Baxter, there's an open invite. Come on back anytime you like, okay? And welcome to Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, thank you for your hospitality on the air, and thank you for your invitation to Nashville. I do spend a fair amount of time in Nashville. I've got a lot of friends there, and it's it might be time to leave California. Tennessee.
Well, come on. We here at Radio Free Nashville would love to have you in the studio, okay, Jeff?
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you for taking the time to interview with me, and you have a really, really great day, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hey, again, everybody, I hope that you enjoyed that interview. Wow, Jeff Skunk Baxter. Again, founding member of Steely Dan and in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of the Doobie Brothers.